Sarah Crewe. Yes,
It's not meant to start like that. I'm going to kick off with a poem from a Greek journal which is based in Athens. It's called A Glimpse Of. The paper version's only on 2, but I'm the poetry editor from number 16 and went out to number 17. It's been a real privilege to edit it. This poem is about my sister. My sister is 26. She's severely autistic with also severe learning difficulties. So she speaks through a range of peck symbols, macaton for those who know that, and just plain noise, which I'm going to convey through this poem. The idea of poems that were in this journal was poems about, there's a George Bataille piece called The Mouth, and it's based on pieces around that. Mine's called Mill by Mouth. Still, nothing is constant. You are never constant, and you are never still, but static. Ubiquitous in weekly cartography sessions. Today is Saturday. The subject home now. Kitchen matador in gingham, in floral, in highly incongruous primal patterns. We never did the grunge phase, did we? I never clipped your beautiful hair in plastic flowers, and the room was annexed. I hated the dolphins, the pseudo-normal girl decor, the way your breath pushes hard on bottom-toothed brown butterscotch, streams, cerebral, spinal, silent. But you scream often. We share nothing by mouth, nothing directly. The next poem I'm going to read, I work with Sophie Mayer quite a lot. Anyone who's not familiar with Sophie Mayer's work, please God, get your head around it because she is absolutely brilliant. What we did is an anthology called Glitter with Agenda, and what we wanted to do was basically, we're bored shitless, no offence, of hearing about the white male middle class perspective on gender. We wanted to hear from bisexual, gay, lesbian, trans with the asterisk perspective on gender. We also wanted to bring back Audre Lorde's feeling of how powerful the female erotic is, and there is a great differentiation between the erotic and pornography, and this unlocked, unleashed power that women have. And it's also, this poem is also based on, if anyone's familiar with an ecofeminist American called Inga Muscio, who wrote a glorious book called Cunt. And the title is based on how we've gone from making this word a swear word, but actually it's a very spiritual word, a very, holy word. It's a special thing to us, which is why you'll never find me using it as a swear word. And this is called The Erotic, and it's after Audre Lorde and Inga Muscio. It is the centre of all feeling. Insomnia. I cannot sleep. Layered and violet petals, and yet it throbs. Pea-shaped and plum pink and ripe for dusk. Wax bloom. It is precious, wrapped in patchwork and cotton rayon, silk, pronounced. It glistens. Exopsychic blood rush. A dozen mattresses could not steal a link between me and this. Diving for pearls on my own deep sleep periphery, New World access. When the waters broke, I thought you were gone for good, and yet you were back in a fortnight to affirm my existence. Rejoice. Rejoice in my gender, playing out to my own tune on my own terms. Internal firefly, infrared, it is lunar, it is mine. from a pamphlet I did called Flick and Victor, which was brought out by Peter Hughes' Oystercatcher Press. There's several moments when you're writing and you sort of go, do you know what, I'm being taken seriously. And one of them for me was being published by Oystercatcher. It really was. Flick is a character I developed who really develops the theme of working class feminist psychogeography, which is essentially what my poetics are about. So Flick is based in different parts of the city of Liverpool for this pamphlet. And I kickstart the book with Wavertree because that's where I grew up. And so this is called Flick Wavertree. Through the pages, I breathe aspen, bronze or pale gelbertina, stone crop circles, flourish, shadow, wolfberry, paxomantics, 80s remnants, Wendy James stalks witch hunt graffiti, HIV, fountain obsolete, pitch marker transient with hint of red, signposted, creeping ivy, lock up, birds swoop close to the ground. The next one, we live on the border of Anfield, Shoebrooke, Everton, for anyone who knows Liverpool, but in Everton there's a park called Grant Gardens, and Grant Gardens was actually, it was titled the Necropolis, and they stopped burying people in there in 1898, and then by 1912 he paved over it and called it Grant Gardens. And you can walk through there knowing that there's dead people under your feet, which is a bit spooky. But I went online and looked, they have the records of that. They're all non-Catholic burials, from Methodist to Jewish to Protestants. They're just non-Catholic is the basic thing. So obviously they don't take But yeah.
Take anybody.
Yeah. So and I looked at these records, and they've got all kinds of women who have died for different reasons, and you know, I mean, frankly, the way women's history is being recorded, they're lucky to have a line on a website, to be honest. But you find all kinds of things like suicide, decline. I know decline. I know, but that's the cause of death. Which to me is like you haven't bought the right hair dye. But it means very different times. So this is Flick, Necropolis. The dead push up the indigo. Dock leaves soothe Hannah's shattered wrists. One stone left. The grass sinks beneath Flick's heels. Nonconformist stockpile, marling up against the wall. Vast circle of dead energy flows. Is caught in hawthorn, in damsel flight, in philo to sea, infirmary, escapism, decay, flux, decline as cause of death, poppies convulsing into red dots, teething pains. Flick circles the water tower, the path remains the same. This next poem, I actually wrote it after reading your Shearsman, the Bunny poems.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'd really, well, firstly you identified Budleigh for me, and I thought, so that's what those flowers are. Yeah, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm going to take this metaphor of butterfly that's landing there, like, go and research the peacock butterfly. So that's what it is. Iris on the wing, velvet red, gentle misuse of weeds, backyard erotica, colours bleed, weeping nectar on a loose shrub, Budleigh stiff, wild, breathing, in shadow of lavender, feasting on nettles, wasteland, sidelines, dance, flutter, northwest, southeast, on 11, the number is up. This next poem is, well, let's just say, right, if Flick was ever to have a night out with my husband, not if Flick, I'm not saying Flick's autobiographical, because she totally is a character in herself, but if she was, and she went to a pub called the Peacock, This is the poem she writes. Flick, peacock. She works Art Deco in a too-tight bra. Flap a sheet, constrained, curves, fight, hooks, wire against Parisian spice. This night is made of sugar and iron. The prince is mocking the pizza crematorium, sipping malt honey. Flick picks coconut scented, sticky, opaque, toasts a peacock moon, clutches red sequins, and says, "Let's walk." I don't know if anyone's read Juna Barnes' Nightwood, but I mean, I'm not the greatest expert of marvellous literature, but I read it and sort of went, oh yeah, identify with you. And one of the quotes from Dr. O'Connor, which I started the poem with, is not the nightgown the natural raiment of extremity? For me, this sums up postnatal depression in one sentence. Diastolic, stoic, dying, internal rot, riot. The devil itself shares the third with love, florid, flourish, acrid. It will be the making of her. Cerebus and lamina florin, eubarn, burnout, black hole. You will find it in port, chasing baptismal rites, temporal steps, sacredy, sacred, sad credo. Believe the night is yours, proclaim, reborn. And last one from Flick that I'm going to read is called Flick Blue Heaven, and this is about, again, it's about Everton, which is the area I roughly live in, apparently one of the most deprived areas in England, but it's got an amazing history. Thomas de Quincey lived here for a bit with his auntie. True, yeah. It's just got this amazing history that's been there since the 13th century, and yet it gets dismissed as this shithole of an area, and it's just not. It's got this most amazing background to it. Flick Blue Heaven. Flick provoked, Flick invokes, Flick invicta. Flick hears vipers in the clover. Flick's red poppies, oxeye daisies, wasteland nursery, flaky social club roller skating. Flag on the brow side. Flick shudders. Flick seeks chamomile. Jennifer rides a wild boar. Deprivation. Flick felicitous. Mint chocolate cathedral. Terracotta spindle. Bare legs whipped by dry grass. Thank you very much. I stayed with Flick because it was just one of those themes that I really enjoyed, and I might write more poems about it, but this is one that isn't in Flick and Victor, but was published in Tears in the Fence. Again, the point that I made about Oyster Catcher, for me it's the same, and I'm sure there's lots of other people who agree with this in the room, that when you get published by Tears in the Fence, you go, yeah, so I'm being taken very seriously now. I'm a very important poet, I'm being published by Tears in the Fence. That's how it was for me. Yeah. This is called Flicks now. You cannot see racehorses for the trees that are waving from their headstones. Unloved, says the broadsheets. Unloved, high density displacement. Plaques cracked. Setting the page in a West German shell suit, 1985. ITN, humility, humiliation. 11 branches. Flick sees her own pram tracks in the snow. The ground is white, the sun is white, marble, granite, sandblasted terraces, preliminary sketches, all cremated, all the lost women, all salvation, all the streets, all the invisible, dissipated, barefoot, stray dog streets. Flick presents yourself here. The next lot of poems I'm going to read are taken from the last pamphlet I did called Kiziewicz, which was with Leaf Press, which is run by the marvellous Alan Baker. This is, number 3 is, well, Kiziewicz, rather, I should start, it's a feminist interpretation of the film Georgie, which, I think was waiting to be done. Yeah, this is the scene, this is roughly the scene where Brody's still thinking that Amity is going to be paradise, and Eleanor's wife is also thinking it's going to be this great break from New York. So number 3, Ellen swims in pastel blue. She wears the dogs on her feet. platinum blonde springs from a doll's head in a doll's house. Stretch out your arms, Ellen. Stretch out those vows. Wave the big man off in his car and go play domestic goddess in the yard. Push the pudding on the swing and go put the boy in the oven. Swings are dangerous. S-W-I-N-G. Water brings rust and it all falls apart. Did you hear? He'd rather she'd have drowned than run out on him. His pride is pierced by a police whistle. Her arm is on the sand. Her hands are knotted in kelp, chased and chased to and through the sea. Her cotton candy nails caress hermit crabs while her rings salute magpies from the shore. Tongue twisted, except we don't know where that is yet. Was it you who taught Brody how to type? Did you teach him how to smoke? Did you teach him how to sweat through a seaside town while he types and teases S-H-A-R-K into the night? This last sequence of poems I'm going to read, I'm going to start with the one that was published in Tears and Offence, which is 41. What I've done is a sequence about Ulrika Meinhof, and as Chris mentioned before, I am 1/3 of Stinky Bear Press, which is me, an amazing poet called Mendoza, and another amazing poet called Pascal O'Loughlin. And me and Pascal are releasing a joint pamphlet of poems that are about Rainer Werner Fassbinder and Ulrika Meinhof. I've done 9 and he's done 9. I'm starting with 41, which is after Gerhard Richter's painting, which is called Tote, which is a painting of the dead Ulrika Meinhof. Your black bull death sits on Richter canvas, no Richter's but absolute defiance in your poochy mouth, upturned nose. Make a sentence from the words picked, post, instant. Let it be told this way, even if it wasn't. No rhyme, wiki, and victim. I've recorded a few of these poems for Andrea Brady's archive of them now, so if anyone wants to hear them again, there's 4 of them on there. This poem's called Ulrika. Ulrika Libra, martyr, mistress, or coming of age, becoming an orphan. Ulrika Library, hack, sweat, hack, will not be KPD, baby doll. Ulrika Liberate, accidental terrorist, Thursday, forget to pick up the kids. Ulrika Suffocate, he's sure it was a murder. Unexplained swelling, cerebral theft. Ulrika Suffer, Ulrika Suffer, Ulrika Suffer. I should say these poems are taken from the book by Karen Bauer, Everyone Talks About the Weather Except We Don't. So it's a combination of Ulrika's prison letters and Ulrika's articles that were published when she was a journalist before she went on the run. Ulrika Farah. Farah was the wife of the Shah of Iran at the time. Ulrika Farah. Ricky in a green dress, all excess A-lines and Shah. Insults unintended, but grasshoppers are not Persian sweets. Pretty young ladies in chump foundations. Their kids do not roll in archaic taxons. Your husband does not have to fear student triplets or federal republics, complicit in Auschwitz, complicit in Fourth Estate Virtusien. And I'm going to finish on 2 poems that encapsulate Ulrika's prison experience, which are Colin Ossendorf, Clampdown, an Argent hair clip, a childbirth souvenir, a post-natal Frankenstein. We've all been there. The stirrups in your grey matter stairwell, hitch up, pitch, park up every fortnight, half-hour blasts of mammoth, spider senses tingling, cut 1973, no gifts, no gift horses, just mouth, just altruistic self-harm, the hunger, the weekly texts from the bathtub, you are the Renfield in the RAF equation, time, space, soap, interlock, the master says you're useless, The master says you have no heart. You can't rob banks, you can't stop talking, you cannot intellectualise a toilet brush. You are not Joan of Arc, you cannot use scissors. Your slave mother begs you, Ulrika, come home. The last one I'm going to read is the final place Ulrika was placed in prison and where she died. Stuttgart, Stamheim. From Bambula to this is you they seek to correct now. You who needs the clean sheets. You who will be wrapped in linen, preserved, dehydrated. You will slay the near siblings of gorilla. It is you who stands to accuse you. Establishment bonds inherent as the hack in your cough, as the poet in your blood. Day 41 in the Stamheim house. How change can be wrought in perfect isolation. How doubt is the essence of betrayal. How the cult of personality strikes at the heart of German youth once again. How Enslin body is Bonnie and Barda is Clyde, and you are common sense denominator from fraction. The walking contact book, the queen of diamonds, the rubbing your fingers as if to start a flame from neurons in the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong sex, the wrong cell, the wrong girl. Thanks.